Congratulate the organizers. I understand that you have more than 3,000 strong. For the very first conference, I would like to congratulate the organizers, and also thank for giving me the opportunity to come and speak to you on this. I was born in Bangalore, and so it always feels good for me to be back here, and in particular to this venue because my home is just within a walking distance of this place, so it's really nice to be here. What I would like to speak to you today about is the IEEE. I'm sure that all of you have been touched by IEEE one way or the other. If any of you have ever used Wi-Fi connection, right? You have been affected by IEEE because the 802.11 standard that you use for Wi-Fi connection is an IEEE standard. And so IEEE is the largest of professional societies in the world, which has got about 375,000 members worldwide, out of which the Computer Society is one of the 39 societies, and it has about 85,000 members. And as I mentioned, the IEEE has members in about 160 countries, particularly in the Asia region. We have about 23,000. With about 23,000 members in India, it's again one of the largest contributors to IEEE's activities. And I hope that many of you are already IEEE members. If not, we would like to see you become an IEEE member, especially after learning how many things that you could be a part of. So the core purpose of the IEEE is to foster technological innovation and excellence for the benefit of humanity, because again, as a professional organization, we are a not-for-profit organization. So how, particularly for this talk, what I would like to highlight is how IEEE helps the developers in various ways. So first of all, many of the things that the IT technology has benefited from is through the publications. The IEEE Computer Society has numerous journals and magazines, which I will just mention in a few minutes. And we organize large number of meetings and conferences. The IEEE itself organizes about 700 conferences worldwide. So almost, every day you can go to 2 different conferences, perhaps in 2 different corners of the world. And the largest conference that the Computer Society organizes is about 10,000 members, 10,000 attendees. It's known as the Supercomputing Conference, RSC, you may know of it. But pretty soon, probably the Great Indian Developers Conference will exceed that size, right? And we also create what's called as the body of knowledge for the professionals. So those of you who are here who are software engineers, many of the things that we do is really embodied in this kind of body of knowledge. And this document is available free on a website, which I'll give you a link in a minute. We have also started developing a certification program, and I think some brochures are being passed around here, and that will give you more details about it. And also I'll give you a link about that. The Computer Society also, along with the ACM, participates in the creation of the curriculums. So the software engineering curriculum, computer science curriculum, computer engineering curriculum that is adopted worldwide is created by the volunteers, like people like you and me, who really gave volunteer time to create these curriculums. And one of the most important activities of the IEEE is the standards. The one that I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, 802.11, is one of the many, many hundreds of standards that IEEE has published. And we also participate in numerous global initiatives and partner with local organizations, and we have a number of online offerings. So specifically, because of your interest in software profession, the way in which we contribute to the software profession is the Computer Society and its sister societies create the body of knowledge. So the body of knowledge, as you can see in this slide, is a combination of the curriculum and the accreditation. And again, accreditation is, again, most of the US institutions and many others worldwide are accredited for their educational standards by this professional body called ABET, ABET, Accreditation Body for Engineering and Technology. And that follows the criteria that is set by this body of knowledge. We also have competency definitions, professional development programs, and standards of practice, and then most importantly, code of ethics. All of these things put together is what's called as body of knowledge. And this helps the educational institutions, it helps individuals in their skills development, and then it also helps the companies themselves, because anyone who follows these things are guaranteed to follow certain standards, and the certification is one of those activities. So particularly the IEEE Computer Society's cause is the professional development for individuals, like people like you, and the development of the profession itself. Again, software engineering wasn't even heard of 20, 25 years ago. Now it is such a large profession in itself, and the IEEE helps do these kinds of things. And our offering for software developers in particular is creating the software engineering as a profession so that it gets the respect as a professional practice. I mentioned the publications, and this number of publications that of particular interest to people like you is the IEEE Software Magazine. It is written for developers, and it's written for those who are working in the companies. And there is a Security and Privacy Magazine. This is, again, a very popular magazine. But those who are in the research domain, we publish what are called as transactions, what you see on the left-hand side. These are the research publications which really eventually becomes products. And many of the patents, the IEEE is the #1 in terms of the references that patent applications are included in. So whenever you file a patent and then you cite some references, IEEE gets cited 4 times as many as its nearest next one. And conferences, as I mentioned, several hundred conferences that we organize, those things get published as proceedings. All of these things are available through the society. In terms of the meetings and conferences that is of interest to this group is the Conference on Software Engineering, the Conference on Web Services, Conference on Semantics, Knowledge, and Grid, and Congress on Services Computing, and so on. And again, as I mentioned, there are several hundred of these things, and I'm sure there's always one that is right in your area of interest. I mentioned the body of knowledge. I think this is something for software developers, is something that's very important. This is called SWBOK, Software Engineering Body of Knowledge. It's a guide to the generally accepted professional practices. At the bottom of the slide is the link, swbok.org. It is freely available for anybody. And so there's no subscription, or you don't have to pay anything. And this is something that the society developed for the benefit of the profession itself. So it identifies the core knowledge of what is important or what is known about the practice of software engineering. And it's a systematic, disciplined, and quantifiable approach to the development, operation, and maintenance of software. Okay. So then the 2 things I would like to talk about, particularly of potential interest to many of you here, is certification. Because there are software engineering programs worldwide, but there is, although many of them does follow the standards that is established, which is the SWBOK that I mentioned, at the end, there is no single test, so to speak, which uses this body of knowledge to certify a person that they have the certain amount of basic knowledge. And for this purpose, for the last 10 years or so, many volunteers from worldwide participated in developing 2 certification programs. And this is a vendor-neutral certification. It is more to do with your knowledge about the software as a discipline, as opposed to whether you know the particular details of a specific vendor. So it's a vendor-independent, and it's something that is created by an international body such as the IEEE. And so that way it has an acceptance worldwide. The one that you see at the down here, the so-called CSDP, or Certified Software Development Professional. This is for mid-career professionals. And this we have been offering for about 8-9 years so far. But what is new, the latest one, is particularly targeted towards those who are just at the beginning of their careers. And so these may be in the final years of their engineering or software engineering curriculum, or someone within the first 2 to 3 years of joining a company working in this area. And it reflects an engineering viewpoint for the profession, and it's based upon the basic education and our experience. And there is an examination, and there's a code of ethics that people must be familiar with. And so the CSTA is a training, it has a training program as well as an examination that confirms the competency of entry-level professional developers. And this is something which will be the same exam worldwide, and so that way that will have validity throughout the world. And this has been launched just last week in US, and within a few months it will be also available throughout the world. And I'm very pleased that about 60 people from Bangalore and Mumbai participated in creating this exam itself. And so they participated in the beta test in order to set the standards and to make sure that this exam meets the competency requirements. And so we just made an announcement last week in Las Vegas, finally releasing this document and the examination, and it is now available worldwide. And so many of you may find it very helpful in your careers. And this just shows the distinction between the two different exams. The CSD is an entry-level or introductory kind of exam, and the CSTP is the more advanced one. And what you see on at the bottom of the chart is what areas that it covers. As I said, it's 10 different areas it covers: foundation of mathematics, computer science foundations, the engineering foundation, software construction, software design, software test, software requirements, methodology, and so on. So it covers all of these areas. And so it's specifically designed for people like you who are developers. And it's brand new. So that's why I'm pleased to be here to be presenting this. So I mentioned the accreditation, the ABET engineering program, which is the accrediting body. And the computer science curriculum is accredited by what's called a CSAP. That's the Computer Science Accreditation Board. And the IEEE participates in all of these things. And as I said before, the IEEE Computer Society and the ACM participate in these things together. It's a collaborative effort to create curriculums for computer science, software engineering, computer engineering, and information systems. So the standards, again, 802, which all of you have been using. And there's an organization called IEEE Standards Association, and our people from India have not been very active in the creation of the standards. US and Europe and even Japan is extremely active in setting the standards. I would strongly encourage the IT professionals from India to participate in these things, because as you know, once you're a part of the group which sets the standards, it's certainly very helpful for your own organization as well as for everyone else in the world. And so I'd encourage you to participate in these activities. And the standards keep the IEEE strategically connected to a large group of active industry practitioners. And this is an opportunity for collaboration. And as I said, there are 12 major standard groups, and several hundred standards work is always going on at a given time. In terms of global initiatives, we have partnerships worldwide with other organizations. Even in India, a number of years ago, we did sign some memorandum of understanding between IEEE and many of the local organizations, and we continue to look for those kinds of things. And there are many online offerings, again, which you can find them on the website that is shown there at the top, WW2, which is a newer website that we have. And it also has a number of open source stack that supports web services. For the members, there is also the Build Your Own Career in Computing, and this is done in partnership with Harvard Business Press. And there is also a job site and a number of podcasts and webinars. Those are the youngsters who may not want to read the magazines and books in print, so everything is available now in the form of podcasts and webinars. One specific one is the security one that is shown on the right, and as well as we have many others. So that's the summary, and again I want to thank you for giving this opportunity, and I'd like to introduce two of my colleagues who traveled all the way from US just this morning. Angela Burgess is our Executive Director for the IEEE Computer Society, and Providence Moore is the Strategic Planning Manager for IEEE. So I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have, but again, you will find a lot of information about what I talked to you about in this. And this one was specifically tailored to software developers, but IEEE is an all of Electrical and Electronic Engineering Association. And so if you're a power engineer, you will find lots of things there too. So the computer science, computer engineering is just one small part of a large organization, although we are about 1/3 of the size of IEEE. Thank you.